Well, hello, wherever you are. Great day to you, and welcome to Conversations with Dr. Els, another edition. And it is great to have you locked on. It's a beautiful day. If you are in North America, it's been a snowy day, but it is still a beautiful day. So I want to just say hi to you guys. I see Nerlene Richardson Hayward. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And I want to encourage you to share the broadcast. It's really joy having you guys connecting with us, and it is really an awesome time. We have been talking about deconstructed, and this is a topic that several persons have been talking about. And what is deconstructed? It is really, or what is deconstruction? It is the process of re-examining what you believe. And you're doing that not to destroy your faith, but to separate what is Jesus or what is true from what is just noise. Good evening to you, Curtis Thomas. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And it is really always great to have you. Alinda Roban, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Also, we are going to continue our series on deconstructed, and I tell you, I'm excited about this. As I've been thinking this through, I've been talking to persons, and it is a real thing that happened. And we said on our last broadcast, don't think that if you are deconstructing that you are losing your faith. Don't think that if you're deconstructing that something is wrong with you. It is something that happens to several people many times. I believe at one point all of us may have been deconstructing at some point. But it is the Christmas season, and as usual, I want to just share a few products with you. I have written 3 books. I've written 4 books. One I have co-authored. One I have co-authored, and 3 I have authored, and these books are along the family line. I am a family life educator. I'm a relationship coach, and so I write along this line. Just excuse me here. But yeah, I write along that line because I really believe family is the bedrock of society. And if we have strong family, we would have strong society. And so I wrote this book called Fruit Friends, and it is for children between the age of 3 to 8. And I really believe this is a beautiful book that you can give for a kid, give for a child, around this time of Christmas. I've gotten several reviews on this book, and it is great. And so I want to just share this with you. You can get it on Amazon. You can just go on Amazon. You can look for Dr. Ellsworth Neal, and you can get your copy of this book on Amazon. It's really a beautiful book for children. If you have teenagers, or if you know teenagers, I've written this second book called Locked In, Living with Faith in a Shaken World, and we're talking about deconstructing, and this is a teen devotional that would help teenagers who are questioning what life is about, questioning their faith. They may have been in church and their friends are doing certain things and they feel that they can't do it. They've been questioning life itself, and this world is a world that is shaky, and so it is really a great book for you to have and for you to give to your teenager. I see Deswin Ishmael. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. It's been a while, but I'm glad that you are on. So I'm just talking about the books that I have written, and this second book is a devotional for children, for teenagers. You can get it on Amazon. And I also wrote this one for parents. It's called Fruit of the Womb, Parenting with Purpose from Seed to Harvest. Fruit of the Womb, Parenting with Purpose from Seed to Harvest. And it's really a beautiful book, and I must say kudos to my graphic artist in terms of the book cover. It's really been beautiful, and I really want to encourage you. You can find these books on Amazon. So you can get one. It's Christmas time. It's a beautiful give the gift of reading. It's a beautiful book. I also co-authored this book, These Deadly Dudes, Exposing Men That Make Marriage a Living Hell. I co-authored this book with Dr. Peter Bonady, and I want to encourage you this. If you have someone who's in a relationship, someone thinking of marriage, someone who's married and they're having challenges, this is a really great book for them to have also. So hey, I want you to get some of these products. Just quickly, quickly just saying, we have Fruit of the Womb, we have this is for parents, and we have Locked In. This is for teen. This is a teen devotional, and we have also the Fruit Friends for children 3 to 8. I'm on a journey to complete this series, so I am actually writing right now a devotional for men, one for women, and one for youth. And so you can look to these, look forward to see these when the time comes. But these are great tools for you to have. All right, so let's just jump into what we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks. We've been talking about deconstructing and finding God, or finding Jesus beyond the noise. And this evening we want to talk about what goes on in your heart and mind when your faith starts shaking. And again, I want to remind you that this is a conversation that we are having. So it means that you are free to share your opinion, maybe experience, or maybe your experience or an experience from someone else, and that you could talk, someone who has really been shaking their faith, been questioning their faith, and you may have spoken to that person. You can share some of your experience, because we're sharing this together. All right, this is not a broadcast, but it is a conversation. So it gives you the opportunity to jump in and share your thoughts, share your opinions, and we really would appreciate that. Thank you so much, Deswin. The covers of the books are really beautiful. Thank you so much. I will pass that sentiment to my graphic artists who've done these covers. All right. So I started saying last week that most people do not deconstruct because of doctrine. Most people do not deconstruct because of doctrine. They deconstruct because of their emotions. All right, and what I've found is that people, because of something that happened, people deconstruct. All right. Our emotions oftentimes shape our belief. Believe it or not, our emotions shape our beliefs. And because when we hurt, when we are disappointed, when we are fearful, when there's confusion, when there are pressures or loneliness, right? These are some of the things that causes people to deconstruct. And I want to talk about some real stuff tonight, right? So let's be honest. Life hits hard. It's a fact. And especially now, we're talking about coming the last days and such like that. Things are getting harder. Things are changing, and life is just lifing, as we would say. All right, life is just lifing, and it makes us question things. It make you question why am I really here? What am I believing? Why am I not seeing anything? Anybody know what I'm talking about? You can give me a thumbs up or a heart, or you can say absolutely in the chat, right? Let me just say hi to Eugenia Cumberbatch. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. All right, so for example, have you ever prayed and nothing happened? I pause there because I want you to think of the question, and I'm sure many of you would be able to say, yes, I have. We pray and nothing happened, and we ask ourselves why that hurts, and it makes you question things, right? It makes you question, but how come I've been praying about this thing and nothing is happening? All right, how come I prayed about this thing and look, somebody else prayed about the same thing and it happened, but why isn't it happened to me? So that's an example of our emotions, and that makes us begin to question our theology, right? And the truth is, sometimes life hits harder than our theology could handle. All right, someone you trusted in church fail you, huh? Man, I have seen and I've heard persons talk about church hurt. Somebody you trusted and you look up to that person, that just breaks something inside of you, and not just your trust, that's the thing, but sometimes your sense of spiritual safety, because you trusted this leader or you trusted this person. It may be someone who's been saved long before you, and you trusted that person, and that person did something and you were like, oh my word, if that happened to that person, or that person could do that, now what's happening to me? And you lose trust, not just in the person, but you begin to wonder about your faith, right? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? Or sometimes things like you thought you'd be further in life by now. I remember when I saying, God, I'm being real here. I said, but God, if I was still in the Coast Guard, if I was still working, I am sure that I would have had this and I would have had that and I would have had the other. I don't know. Any one of you have gotten to places like that, right? So you thought you would have been further in life by now, and you start wondering. This thing they call faith, does it even work? Why I am putting my faith, I am trusting God, I'm believing this. Why I am going to, some people, I'm going to church, I'm not doing the wrong things, but why are these things happening to me, right? So we're being real in this conversation because these are the things that happen, all right? And so you start wondering if faith even works, all right? Okay, here we have a comment. They talked about that today at church with two sisters. You see, one said God has favorites because someone will testify they prayed about something during the week and God answered, but you have been praying for years, and that is the thing. So you see what I'm talking about. Sometimes people just prayed one prayer for the same thing that you've been praying years over, right? And you're not seeing any result. There's no answer yet, and so you start questioning your faith. You feel like God has favorite. Alright, so let me pause and say hi to Carol. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. It's really nice to see you in this forum, right? Another example would be if you're carrying trauma that you never talk about, so something traumatic happened and you never really talked about it. And now it's affecting how you see God. Why did God allow this to happen to me? Or why did God allow this to happen? Wasn't I good? I have a friend, and she's now talking a lot about her abuse that took place when she was a child, right? And she's still a Christian, but she brought over some of the things that hurt her and stuff like that. So carrying trauma at times make you question God. Or even you may say, well, those things I'm too strong for that. But things like you're just overwhelmed by pressure. The pressure of work, the pressure of family, the pressure of expectation, you remember who you are, and people just expect that, and things like if you're a pastor's kid, there's expectation. If you're a pastor's wife, there's expectation. If you're a pastor, there's certain expectation. If you're just a Christian or just going to church, people expect something from you. And sometimes, you don't feel that spiritual. There are days you just feel tired. I don't know if anybody know what I'm talking about. Man, you just feel tired. You don't feel like the God thing. You don't feel like the spiritual thing, right? And so there are days when these things happen. So you see what I'm talking about. These are not theological issues. These are not understanding things like the Greek and the Hebrew and that kind of stuff. These are not that, right? These are just human issues. And sometimes I believe people forget that, it doesn't matter how long you're Christian or if you're a pastor or who you are, you're human. Right? These are human issues. Sometimes I want a vacation from my own family. Sometimes I want a vacation from church. Sometimes I don't feel like going to church. Right? These are human issues. And when the human part of you gets shaken, the faith part of you gets shaken too. Right? And so we got to understand that oftentimes emotions shape our belief. Oftentimes our emotions shape our belief. Sometimes people say, faith is spiritual, but faith is also emotional. Trust me. When you're on an emotional high, your faith is high. And so oftentimes you can't separate both. So let's break this down together. Let's talk about this together. Understand this. When you're hurt, you interpret everything through your pain. You ever hear this saying, hurt people, right? When you're hurt, then you can't see beyond your hurt, right? And even God start looking like the person who hurt you. You know, I have seen, I've heard examples of people who blame God because somebody in the church did them something. All right? And that is true, right? That is true. Church members seek to expect divinity from their pastor or their pastor's wife. They forget that they're human. I always say, even Jesus was fully God, but he was fully man, right? Jesus himself got into the temple and he got angry with these guys selling in the temple, beat them and stuff like that, right? And that is what really happened. That is life. That's real life. You know, that's the crux of the matter. When you're hurt, you interpret it through your pain. If you're anxious, you assume the worst. You know, anxiety. Boy, you know, I have to go for this interview, and you're anxious and you just feel like I am not going to get through. Because the person, listen, I have gone several times to renew, for example, my visa, and you stand in the line, and you see people getting denied. And if you're anxious, you already believe that you're gonna get denied. You know, you go for an interview and several people come out and their face looks sour and stuff like that, and if you're anxious, you start believing that you're not going to get through. So you start imagining, what you happen is that you start imagining the outcome that God never promised. So you're anxious and you start believing the worst. Or you're disappointed and your expectation lowered. So you lowered your expectation. You're disappointed and you lower your expectation. Let me just read this comment. As a church, hurt is real. You really have to make up your mind to serve God no matter what. And so that's what we're talking about. We're talking about deconstructing. We're talking about questioning your faith. And the truth is, there are times, man, when you got hurt in church, when you feel as if, you see me and this church thing, you want to go back into the world, as we may put it in, and you want to be the worst person here because this church thing ain't right. All right, let me pause and say hi to the most beautiful, the wonderful, the lovely Dale, Janlene, Neil. All right, great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And let me read this comment. Sometimes I guess sometimes timing is mistaken for favoritism, or favoritism. What I also find interesting is that David was anointed early but suffered for years, and that is true. But you know what happened? In those times, what we're saying is that the reality is, oftentimes we question that. God, I often say God doesn't have favorite. But favoritism is something that is real, and so you feel that feeling that God has favorite is real because you're praying and you're believing and you're trusting and you feel you're doing everything that is right and you ain't seen it yet. The reality is that you begin to question. And nothing, as we said early in our conversation a couple of weeks ago, nothing is wrong if you're deconstructed, right? Once you're deconstructing healthy, nothing is wrong with that. Even the men in the Bible that we've read, deconstructed. Job said, I wish I could find God. I wish I could find where he lived. I would argue my case before him. Things like that. Moses said, God, if you ain't going up there, I ain't going. Moses said to God, when God said, move out the way, I'm going to kill everybody. Moses said, what's going to happen? What the nations are going to say about you? So it is life, right? Or even when you are tired, everything feels heavier. You know what? Man, there are times, right? I work so hard. And my work is in the church, right? And you've done so much. You praying, you're preparing, preaching, you're doing other work, and it seems like the week is just long, and you're tired, and everything even the little thing feel heavier, and sometimes you become even grumpy towards your family members or something like that. Even opening your Bible sometimes feels like a chore, right? That's true. Says yes, you lower your expectation because you want to minimize the feeling of disappointment, and that is true. That's going back to what I'm talking about. When you're disappointed, you lower your expectation because, hey, you're expecting this from this person, they disappoint you. You see me, I'm not expecting that anymore, so I lower my expectation. If anything happened, it happened. Que sera, whatever would be. All right. And another thing is when you feel alone, God feels distant, even when He isn't. Sometimes you're lonely and it feels like, where is God? God hiding from me? What's really going on? All right. And so your emotion really at times cause you to question your faith. Understand, this is not sin. Let me be clear with you. This is not sin. It's just psychology. It's just life, all right? It's just how human function. You're tired or you're disappointed or you're anxious. Your reaction oftentimes just change. And so your emotions don't just influence your mood. Sometimes they influence your theology. They influence your faith. All right, and so understand that trauma and faith is real. Trauma doesn't disappear just because you can quote a scripture. Now, I said earlier, I have a friend who had some childhood trauma and questioned God for a while. Let me pause and say hi to Andrew Richards. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. I also know I know a friend and she's a staunch Christian now. But I know a friend who was sexually molested at an early age. And you know what they did? What that person did? That lady became just loose. And just sexual, she was just loose and just any boyfriend she has, whatever, it was just easy to engage in sex but then God helped her and she's really a better person today. So trauma don't just disappear because you quote John 3:16 for God to love the world. Whether it is childhood trauma or church trauma or relationship trauma, and that's why I say, guys, you need to get that book, These Deadly Dudes. You can check that out. And for you guys who are on here, I want to recommend another book. It's like a sequel towards that called Dangerous Darlings. You can also check that out on Amazon. All right, but trauma, things like divorce, betrayal. Anybody have ever been betrayed? Man, you expected this from the person and they betrayed you, right? Or a loss of a loved one, financial collapse, depression, or burnt out. These are just some of the things that we're talking about. Some of the trauma. These experiences shape how you see everything, and that includes God. These experiences shape how you can see things around you. For example, if you grew up with a father who has been harsh or a father who was absent, now you struggle to believe that God is a loving father, or that God is present, right? And yeah, let me just read this comment. It seems like some people are always getting their prayers answered, but years and years you have been praying and God hasn't said or done anything. Or it seems like he hasn't said, or it seems like he hasn't said anything. And that is true. These are real. These are the crux of the matter. All right. But yeah, if we get to this thing, we're talking about experience, how they shape how you even see God. Because as I said earlier, if you have an absentee father, sometimes you feel God is absent or God is harsh. You struggle to believe that God is a loving parent, and all you hear in your mind is God is almost ready to beat you over your head. If you do something wrong, God is ready to beat you. Or you went to a church that used fear and guilt. Everything you do, you'll be punished, right? If you slip up here, you're going to hell. If you do this thing wrong, if you wear pants, you're going to hell. If you wear earrings, you're going to hell. If you have a tattoo, you're going to hell, and stuff like that. If you grew up in a church that used fear and used guilt, now you think God is just waiting to punish you. Everything you do, you can't even have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you feel that God is going to punish you. And these aren't spiritual problems, they are emotional wounds. So that's the point I'm making. Emotions play a very big part in us deconstructing. Emotional wounds always bleed into spiritual life. Because when we are emotionally damaged or we're emotionally down, our spiritual life oftentimes get affected by that. Let me just say hi to Anne Braff. Great having you locked on. Good night. So let me ask you this again. Have your emotions ever made faith harder? What about hurt? Have you ever had any hurt that make you doubt? What about disappointment? Have you ever been so disappointed that you question God, right? And you could just share, and it doesn't have to be you, or you probably know someone like that they're so disappointed that they question God, or they've been so hurt that they begin to doubt what God, or have you ever had that? You got to understand, these are real life situations, right? So let's talk about, and you can put that in the chat if you feel free to share that. But let me give you some signs that you are experiencing emotional deconstruction. And these things are not to judge you, right? But to help you understand. These are some signs, and to help you to help someone else, because sometimes that's what happened. Great having you locked on to Conversations, Maria, Julian. And guys, remember, share this conversation. This is one way that you can help this, because there are so many people who are hurting. There are so many people who are questioning their faith. There are people who've left the church because they don't understand this. So share this conversation. There are some people who need to hear this, right? Right. So yes, when my emotions are all over the place about something, it can feel like God has literally abandoned me. Because God, what I'm saying here is that let's not play the religious. Let's be real. This is what Conversations with Dr. Els, we deal with real things. And it is a fact that when our emotions are out of line or walked, when we really feel hurt or something like that, it can really challenge our faith or question, right? So let me give you some sign. Here's one, right? You're experiencing emotional deconstruction if you are mad at God, if you are mad at life, but you're not mad at God, but you're mad at life. But hey, it feels the same. So what I'm talking about, things are happening around you and you're mad. You just like, why are all these things happening to me? What is happening? And so life is just lifing, as we say. You're not seemingly getting through at your studies. Your children or your family, they are against you, and life is just, you don't have, every month you're struggling, and life is just lifing, and you're just mad at life. And you know for sure, that you're not mad at God, you're just mad at life. But it feels as if it is the same thing. If that is happening to you, you are deconstructed. And remember, as I said earlier, deconstruction is not wrong. Deconstruction is when you're questioning your faith, not to abandon it, but really just trying to separate what is real from what is fake. Let me say hi to Nicholas Minard. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And, let me read this comment. I hit a breaking point where I was convinced my ministry was finished. I felt abandoned at a point, confused and angry enough to question God directly. Why me? Why now? You see what I'm talking about? These are some of the real situations that happens. So don't try to play holier than thou. And I'm telling you, this is 2025. I have been a Christian for 38 years. Yeah, about that. 38 years. And many a times I have gone through these experiences. I have deconstructed, but I am still here. You understand? So this is real. This is not just playing churchy or playing you're better than others. These are real things that happen, right? So people feel hurt. People feel disappointed. They did not leave God. As a matter of fact, some people leave the church, but they did not leave God. All right, and let me share this comment with you also. I surely felt hurt and disappointed. I questioned God before, but now I cast my cares on Him and learning to wait on Him. Life is just lifing, and that is the point we're getting to. It's gonna come a time when you just wait. You just experience, because you grow and you experience certain things, and then certain things don't really bother you anymore. But the reality is that all of us at some point or the other deconstructed, right? So what let me give you another another sign that you are experiencing emotional deconstruction. You feel numb when you pray. You feel as if nothing is happening. You feel numb. You feel like there's no feeling in your prayer, and you're just going through the motion. All right. That's a sign you're deconstructing. Or you love God, but hey, you don't trust Him. Hey, Dr. Els, what are you talking about? You love God, but you see this thing, I gotta do this because I don't think God is gonna come true. Because someone else, and why that happened? Because someone else broke your trust. And you now, because that person, we talked about that, you may have looked up to that person broke your trust. It may be a leader in the church, it may be a friend who've been a Christian for a long time, or it may just be a friend who you walk with and they broke your trust. And so you felt that person was, especially if that person is stronger Christian than you and such like that, and so you just give up, right? Or you try to avoid spiritual conversations, not because you're rebellious, but because you're exhausted. I remember a time when I have been going through some stuff, and people would come to you and they would quote scripture, they will bring you scriptures and stuff like that, and they will tell you all of these great stuff, and you're saying, I'm saying in my mind, I know all of that, I don't want to hear that right now, right? It's not the scripture that I want to hear right now. Because why? You're deconstructing, you're hurting us, something happened, so you're experiencing emotional deconstruction, and so you avoid spiritual conversation. You don't want to get into there talking about God this and God that, and it is, again, not because you are rebellious, but you're just exhausted. Life is just show you some curveballs sometimes. Or you feel guilty for struggling. So you're struggling with certain issue in life, or you're struggling with a concept that may have been preached or something like that, and you feel guilty, so you stay silent. You hear people talk about the particular thing that you're struggling with, and you're not saying anything because you're deconstructed. Let me say hi to Junan Millington. Great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. Or here's another sign. You're grieving something you never talked about. And again, these aren't faith problems. These are heart problems, right? And understand God is the healer of broken hearts. So what should I do? What should I do in times like this? Right? I want to share just one with you, and then we will continue this next session. I realize 45 minutes has gone already. All right. How do you heal while you're deconstructed, right? Because again, deconstructing is not wrong. Okay, understand that. So while you're deconstructing, how do you heal? I'm gonna give you one way, and that is to be honest with yourself. To be honest with yourself. Come on, stop pretending. Stop pretending you're okay when you're not okay. It is okay not to be okay. It is okay to question certain things. It is okay to question when you feel like life is against you, when you feel like one person said earlier, they reached the breaking point, and they were angry, and they asking God, why me, or why now? Because sometimes it could be you could handle it in a certain time, but the timing might be just off. And be honest with yourself, man, I am hurting. Listen, I don't understand this. God, what is happening? Why is this happening to me? Right? These are things you if you're gonna heal while you're deconstructing, you gotta be honest. And, you can't be the person who how are you today? Oh, praise the Lord, bless the Lord, God is good, I am fine, and you're hurting on the inside, and you're questioning certain things, and you feel as if you're going to give up, but all you want people to feel that you're such great Christian. Listen, if your back is hurting, nothing is wrong with letting the world know your back is hurting. I always say, and I've heard my spiritual mentor saying the same thing too. I always say, if I'm sick, I tell people I am sick, because the more people I tell I'm sick, is the more people could pray for me. Now, I am not saying, understand, I'm not saying that you tell your problems to everybody. But if you're not okay, you're not okay. You don't have to tell everybody why you're not okay, but be honest with yourself. Stop pretending you're okay when you're not. All right? Yeah, you're deconstructing, but you can heal if you're being honest with yourself. Hey, you know what? Next session, God's willing, next conversation, I'm going to share a couple more things with you. How you can heal while you are deconstructing. All right? So I want you to make sure you get back to this conversation, to our next conversation. Let's talk about that aspect. But what have we been talking about? We've been talking about the reality of life, and why people deconstruct, and the emotional things, and the things that hurt you, the doubt, and the trauma, and the trust issue, and the weariness of life, stuff like that cause you to deconstruct. Nothing is wrong. It doesn't mean that you are losing your faith. It doesn't mean that God is not there. But it just means that life is lifing, and sometimes you go through these things. All right? Sometimes you go through things like that. But, guys, all is not lost. So don't feel, and don't make, let me say this, emphasize this as I close this conversation. Don't make anyone make you feel as if you are hopeless or you are lost because you're deconstructing. We run so many people away because we did not understand that they were just deconstructing, and we drive them away. But the reality is, many times we deconstruct. So, hey, thank you guys. St. Lucia in the house, Canada, USA, wherever you are. It's great having you locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els, and I'm looking forward to see you next session. And I want to encourage you to share this. And if you are looking at this conversation, even after we finish this live, share it with someone who need answers for deconstructing. Remember, as I always say, whatever you do this week, make sure that you add value to someone's life. Okay? Add value to someone's life, whatever you do this week. So God bless you. Pastor Ezra Cumberbatch, I know you just oh wow, and Brother Arden Tani, it's great having you guys locked on to Conversations with Dr. Els. And let me just say, Conversations with Dr. Els is at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time if you're in the Caribbean, of course, or wherever. Atlantic Standard Atlantic Time would be 7:30, right? So I'm looking forward to see all of you guys. Beverly Bailey, guys are just locking on now. But I want to encourage you to just check out this conversation after. It is really great, and share it with someone who need to hear this conversation. God bless you and have a tremendous week. Bye.